welcome to Kanal Ter. I'm Aisha Zekai with the Zek Report, with the latest news headlines and magazine programme. Today we will be going into health, economy, UK news and worldwide news, the arts, and the last piece being Did You Know, which is facts that not many people may know that has happened. We're going to start off today with health. COVID-19 coronavirus. As we are approaching a second wave, we have to remember the guidelines. Now, we have to remember that it's transmitted through cough and sneeze drops. It's vital to wear a mask, wash hands, and keep to the 1 metre distance rule. And another one to remember is hands, face, space, catch it, bin it, and kill it, which means if you sneeze, you catch it with a tissue. Throw away instantly, wash your hands, and carry tissues on you at all times, as washing hands with soap kills the virus. Now, there is a track and trace app that has been introduced this week, which is very easy to download on your smartphones. And you may get a text from NHS in order to do so. And it has been very successful so far in Scotland and Northern Ireland when it was introduced a little while ago. Also, Britain to withhold cash from World Health Organization, being WHO, as one of the biggest donors until the international bodies gets to the bottom of the origins of the coronavirus in China, and it finds out where the virus came from. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, will also announce new investment in COVAX, the international COVID-19 vaccines procurement pool, including £500 million in aid funding the help for 92 of the world's poorest countries access a vaccine. Now we're continuing with COVID-19. Outbreaks of coronavirus hits 1,700 students, which are university students, confined to Manchester halls. Other outbreaks in Wales and Scotland are also reported. More than a quarter of Britain is set to be living under local lockdown, with new restrictions imposed, with London also being at risk. Sadiq Khan, London Mayor, urged all Londoners to pull together and stick to the guidelines and rules in an attempt to avoid local lockdowns. Around 17.5 million Britons will be living in areas which restrict them from meeting with other households. Boris Johnson's new lockdown rules, where he addressed the nation on the 22nd of September, that all working in hospitality sector to wear masks at all times, bars and pubs to close at 10 o'clock each night. Office workers to go back to working from home if possible. Face masks to be worn in taxis, private hire vehicles, and by retail staff whilst at work. Customers in indoor hospitality to wear face masks, except while seated at the table to eat or drink. Bars and pubs to have seating service only. Wedding ceremonies and funerals restricted to 15 people, where it was 30 people before. 15 people only will come into effect as from 28th of October. Now, the coronavirus vaccine. Once the vaccine has been made available, care home residents are likely to be first online to get the coronavirus vaccine as soon as one becomes available. No vaccine has yet been proven to protect against coronavirus, although some have been shown to be safe and to produce an immune system response. The UK has struck a deal to get early access to 6 vaccinations, including the one developed by Oxford University. Experts believe and are hopeful that at least one of the vaccine candidates will prove successful by next year, and maybe as early as this Christmas. Frontline health and social care workers would be the second in line as priority. Now, continuing with health, for the over 70s, the University of California in San Francisco found that a 15-minute walk once a week to admire nature makes the over 70s happier, more positive and grateful, less stressed after just 2 months' study. Continuing with health, good news for people with broken bones or osteoporosis. Read an article where it said broken bones fixed by using a miracle bandage. For those who suffer from osteoporosis, brittle bones, a bandage that mends broken bones could revolutionise fracture treatment, say UK scientists. The biomaterial containing both stem cells and mature bone cells is stuck onto an injury like a plaster and is said to dramatically speed up healing. Dr. Shukri Habib of King's College London said the bandage could make a drastic difference in recovery times for patients with serious bone fractures. It could also fix other damaged tissues. Clinical trials of the technique described in Nature Materials journals are now planned. Now we're going to discuss economy in the UK. As I discussed with you last week, the furlough scheme, which came into effect from the last week of March and is to end on the 30th of October, in order to stop mass unemployment, and outlining the second phase of economic support to be given, as it seems to be clear that the next 6 months the virus restrictions are going to be a fact of our lives. The furlough scheme was the right policy at the right time, providing immediate short-term protection for millions of jobs through a period of acute crisis. On 24th of September, Rishi Sunak, Chancellor of Exchequer, has introduced the Winter Economy Plan for 6 months. We can no longer be put on hold, he says. The first one being the Job Support Scheme will replace the furlough scheme as of 1st of November 2020. The scheme will directly support the wages of people and work and businesses who face depressed winter demand, the option of keeping employees in a job on shorter hours rather than making them redundant. The second one is VAT. Businesses registered for VAT, the reduced interest rate introduced in March 2020 from 20% to 5% will be extended till March 2021. They will also have the option to pay their VAT fees in 11-month instalments. Now, for the self-employed, many millions of self-employed people will also have the option of extending their tax bill over 12 months from January. Those eligible will be benefiting from the extended unemployment support scheme. Job retention bonus, introducing a scheme to kickstart young people with job creation schemes and new investments in training and apprenticeships, therefore protecting millions of jobs and businesses. He is extending self-employed grant on similar terms and conditions as the new job support scheme, together with the job retention bonus, a scheme to kickstart young people tens of billions of pounds, job creation schemes for new investment in training and apprenticeship, therefore protecting millions of jobs and businesses. Now we have the pay-as-you-grow scheme, helping businesses with cash flow, tens of millions of pounds of tax referrals and generous government-backed loans. If you remember last week, I mentioned the £50,000 bank loans, which you could get before, and for the first year there would be no interest charge. Well, this is even better. The bounce back loans, which is 38 billion they're spending to boost to survive the pandemic, to give those businesses more time and greater flexibility to repay their loans. That's why they're introducing pay as you grow, which means a small to medium-sized businesses take out coronavirus business interruption loans, can be extended from 6 years to 10 years by nearly halving the monthly average repayments. Whereas before it was up to 6 years, now they're extending that period to 10 years, which is also good news. Also good news, the businesses who are struggling can now choose to make interest-only payments. Anyone in real trouble, however, can apply to suspend repayments altogether up to 6 months. No business taking up pay-as-you-grow will see their credit rating affected as a result, which is even better news. Now coming to worldwide news, Japan, and the heading is From Strawberry Fields to Japan's PM. On 28th of August this year, Shinzo Abe, the son of a cabinet minister, was president of the Liberal Party and prime minister for 8 years, but resigned on health grounds. He was the longest-serving prime minister in Japan's history. Yoshida Suga, however, was self-made son of a strawberry farmer who left his hometown after high school and went to Tokyo to university. He did odd part-time jobs in order to subsidize his education. After graduating and many years of doing government jobs, he managed to get a seat in Yokohama's assembly, where he became known as Shadow Mayor, working alongside Shinzo Abe as second in command. On 14th of September 2020, with Abe's approval, he was appointed as the new Prime Minister by the Houses of Parliament and an invitation by Emperor Naruhito to form a government as the new PM. The 71-year-old is widely seen as the Abe continuity candidate. It is said the only reason he got the premiership was he vowed to continue Abe's policies. His work ethic is said to extend beyond his life in politics. He begins and ends each day with 100 sit-ups. I think it's an example to us all. Now we're going to go on to the arts. A night at the opera in London. How, you may ask? All the theatres are closed due to COVID-19 pandemic. Well, it seems we have Europe's first drive-in opera, which happens to be my favourite, Puccini's Madame Butterfly. A West End production will be performing in Alexandra Palace this weekend, weather permitting. Also, in the Southbank, there is a hidden gem. In Leek Street, near Waterloo Station, there is a tunnel celebrating art and creativity, open to everyone. Since Banksy decided to hold a street festival down in the tunnel in 2008, artists can work in peace, which means no two visits are ever the same. Now, coming to the book of the week, the much-awaited sequel, The Testiments, by Booker Prize-winning author Margaret Atwood. Now, the Canadian author Margaret Atwood has written many books, novels, poetry, children's books, non-fiction, fiction, short stories, graphic novels, but the best known for her gripping novel, The Handmaid's Tale, published in 1985. A dystopian novel set in New England in theocratic regime in the US that arose as a result to fertility crisis. The Handmaid's Tale has also been made into a very successful TV series. The much-awaited sequel, The Testiments, was published in 2019. The novel is set 15 years after The Handmaid's Tale. Now I come to the section where some facts we may not know, and it's called Did You Know? Did you know, located near Italian-Austrian border, in the Italian mountains, there is a small village called Moera, also known as Riona Turkiya, Turkish region. So how did this happen, you may ask? Well, in 1683, during the Ottoman Empire, on their agenda was to conquer Vienna. There was an Ottoman janissary named Hassan. After daring to question the Pasha's decision, the Grand Vizier gave the order for Hassan to be beheaded. Fearing for his life, Hassan defected and escaped to the mountains and arrived at a small village called Moera, which was somewhat 200 miles away. Speaking 5 languages, including Italian, Hassan was welcomed by the inhabitants with open arms, without questioning his intentions. Hassan, in turn, helped the inhabitants by becoming a spokesman for the village, especially when the Duchy of Augsburg demanded higher taxes from them and persuaded them to revolt. After that happened, they named him Il Turco, and they embraced the Turkish culture and traditions, and as a tribute, they withhold a festival in his honour and memory, the first week of August every year. They keep this Anatolian culture alive, and they consider themselves Turks, even though they do not speak a word of Turkish. Well, that's all for today. I'll see you again next week with new topics and many news articles. Thank you. You've been watching Kanal Ter with Aisha Zekai with the Zek Report. See you next week.